Hi, my name is Goldman. I'm the director and founder of Goldman & Associates. Our firm has a primary focus on family law issues here in the state of Michigan. And today we're going to continue our video series designed to educate and inform the public, so please subscribe to our channel. Is there a way for you to share custody with your ex in a peaceful way, in a working way, in a way that makes sense, where you can, in an appropriate environment, actually raise your child sort of jointly as such? Well, I will tell you this. The courts feel that there is every possibility to do this in a peaceful way, in a legitimate way, in a good faith way, which is why we have something called joint custody. The concept of joint physical custody or joint legal custody presupposes a working relationship between the parties so that a joint situation can work. Whether it's joint physical custody, which means you're sharing where the child actually lives. Maybe in a simple case you have 1 week on, 1 week off, mom, dad, mom, dad. That presupposes that the parties can get along with such communication and such contact and such a routine. In the context of legal custody, it has to do with sharing the vital decision making regarding your child. What does that mean? Decisions regarding religion, school, health decisions, major decisions in your life have to be shared. Well, sharing major decision-making authority presupposes that the parties can get along, that the relationship supports it. So, in a perfect world, I suppose we would say that yes, it is very possible to work out a relationship of cooperation, a relationship of communication, a relationship where the parties can actually work together in order to share the custodial responsibilities. It can be done. How practical it is going to depend on your circumstances, because remember, these are relationships that have failed. They've either failed by virtue of a divorce or it was no marriage, so they failed by virtue of the ultimate inevitable consequence of time that rendered that relationship unworkable. Either way, we've got failed relationships, right? How well do people work together in failed relationships? Well, not that well. There are challenges. I mean, imagine people who say, well, we can't agree on, who takes out the garbage and who cooks the meals, but we're going to agree on, what medical decisions for the kid. Maybe they will and maybe they won't. I would say this: if you want to try and work this out and realize that even though your marriage is falling apart and you're not spouses, you're still parents. And you still got to do the responsible thing for your kids. If you want to try and work that out, I would say number one, respect in your communication is key. A lot of relationships are characterized by one person sort of controlling the situation, controlling the other, demeaning the other. That is never going to work in a joint situation. There's going to be a lot of resentment that's going to becloud everything that you have to discuss regarding your kid if one person's always abusing the other. So I think respect in the relationship is key. Communication and respectful communication is also very, very important. If one person is thinking of doing something one way but doesn't share it with the other person, it's going to be problematic. You decide to take your kid away to see grandparents in Florida, you don't bother to share it with the other person, or at least tell them that, hey, I'm doing this, it may even impinge upon your week. They make other plans. Now we have all sorts of problems. The key is avoid the problems that put the court back in your life. If you can avoid conflict, which will put the court back in your life, then you will avoid the resentment and you will continue to work in a productive way. If you've got to find yourself going back to the judge every single time about this dispute or that dispute, it's going to be very hard to have a working relationship where joint custody can truly be beneficial in a good faith way and work for your child and your ex. If you have any questions about that, reach out and we'll be glad to help you out.